WCS America's Challenger League qualifier. Of course, we're in the middle of watching a Puck versus Sage Rudolph. Currently, Sage is down 0-1. Puck won that first game with some great Oracle play on the attack and then defensive play against those Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what game number 2 is going to bring for us. I mean, we are already down game 1 here for Sage, so what is Sage going to have up in game number 2? That's going to be the really important question here. Can he fend off Puck in his second game, or are we going to have another quick 2-0 like we saw last series?
It's definitely really going to come down to being able to figure out what Puck is up to and counter whatever build she did. We saw last game he both wasn't able to scout the Oracle coming, then when it did come, he didn't actually react very quickly to it. He kind of thought the one Stalker, he had the one Stalker shooting. He's like, one Stalker can fend off an Oracle. Fortunately, not quite. The Oracle just ignored those shots, got so many probe kills, and it put Sage in such a rough spot going forward.
All right, guys, so game number 2 here. Lobby is getting set up right now. Akelon Waste is going to be our map, and it looks like both our players are ready, so let's get that game started. Oh, man, I love PvP. I don't know why. I love PvP. I'm like the weirdest person in that kind of regard.
It's definitely a really fun matchup. In Heart of the Swarm, there's such a dynamic between trying to invest in air units, also the Colossi are down on the ground. If you get too many air units and they stack too much, Storm can all of a sudden become an actual factor in PvP, which we never saw in Wings of Liberty. It's a really exciting dynamic.
All right, guys, let's get on into Akelon Waste. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner from Team Root, it is our red Protoss player, Sage. And spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner, also from Team Root, once again, it is our blue Protoss player, Puck. So, yeah, I mean, this is yet another single spawning location, so once again, we're not going to have to worry about being able to have to scout out for the other 2 positions. But, you're down a game, you have to come back in some sort of manner, and your opponent is one of your teammates. So you have to play some sort of meta, and that's going to be one of the difficult spots here.
Puck already playing what could potentially end up being a mind game. Her first pylon at the bottom right corner of her main. That's an location that when Sage scouts Puck, he's not going to find a pylon unless he goes all the way back there. And he might start thinking there's all these proxy possibilities. He might start getting a little paranoid, start stressing a bit. And that could really, throw him off his game. Any little advantage you can get, they all add up. And that's what Starcraft is. It's a game of small advantages that build up to a victory.
Quite right. I mean, those mind games are just exactly what you have to do when you're playing against an opponent, especially, as I mentioned before, one of your teammates. Somebody you practice with, somebody you practice against, somebody you're coaching, you know their builds, they know your builds. So if you just even feint that you're going to do something just a little bit different than what you're actually going to go for, it's that small little advantage, exactly what you're talking about.
We can see here Puck again scouting all these potential proxy locations with that first probe, very aware that that is a potential threat. This is a map where actually proxy stargates are fairly common on Akelon Waste. There's a lot of, you can either go either top right or bottom left, whichever side you are, and it's difficult for your opponent to scout all those locations in a timely manner.
Especially with that third base location where it's separated by rocks. Nobody wants to loop their probe all the way around, get into that little cranny over there, and find out what's going on. So it's a great place to hide any type of technology. Stargates, Dark Shrines, what have you. First Zealot coming out here for Sage, and he's gonna, for Puck, and it looks like he's gonna try and get that little probe out of there. But the probe is gonna be a little bit persistent. Oh, no, fine, he's just gonna leave.
Puck getting that probe out of there right pronto, of course. She noticed Sage did chrono boost his cybernetics core. She also noticed Sage had a lot of energy on that Nexus. So, and also one gas, right, which is fairly unusual in PvP. So Sage is doing all these things that really indicate gateway pressure. Puck scouted it all, so she should be ready. In fact, we can see she was chrono boosting her gateway to make sure she can get as many units out as possible to try to defend this oncoming aggression.
And so this is actually going to be pretty interesting. I mean, so what is Puck doing in response? Trying to get out more and more units. That second gate just barely getting up right now. And, that's where you just have to spend all of your chrono boost, not on probes, not on tech, not on anything else, but you just have to keep chrono boosting out those probes. Keep chrono boosting out the army to keep up with that production. Now, the first Zealot is going to be chased away here by the Stalker. But, it's just going to kind of walk away for a minute and then walk right back and, throwing down a wall at the front.
A really interesting defense here. Of course, what Sage wants to do is he wants to get that probe into Puck's base and then build pylons on the high ground so he can warp in right into the action. The wall prevents that probe from sneaking up there, as well as, of course, keeping the Zella off of Puck. So Puck just has to get the superior ranged army, use that concave on top of the ramp to focus down Sage's Stalkers one by one as they advance up.
And that is exactly what Puck wants, is just more and more Zealots to be denied here by Sage. I mean, by going for that much already, she's going to have more and more Zealots than Stalkers. And here we go, a little bit of an engagement, Stalker versus Stalker down here at the bottom of the ramp, taking out the Zealot instead of the rest of the Stalkers, and actually losing a Stalker here. And now the Zealot is actually starting to take out the Pylon. The Pylon does go down. The probe is now in the main base. Is the probe going to throw down a proxy Pylon? No, it's actually just going to get targeted down.
Oh,
but more and more probes coming in.
Sage pulling up several probes here, of course. In the meantime, Puck stole Sage's second assimilator, so Sage is really committed to this attack, reforming the wall. Is there another force field? Just a few seconds off.
Oh, it looks like the pylon's going to go down, and now it looks like Sage is in the main base of Puck. There's only sentries and a Stalker, and the Zealot is just going to town on these sentries. He wants to deny actually the highest energied sentry there, which is going to be the only one that was available for a force field. One more force field does go down here for Puck, but still more and more forces coming in here for Sage, and Puck is taking so much damage. Only 2 sentries and 2 Stalkers left. Another Stalker trying to get put in here, but doesn't have a gateway technology. Oh, sorry, he does have gateway technology. But here comes those Stalkers once again, and just now all the probes are being pulled.
If a key force field can trap the Stalkers, perhaps Puck can take them out and get back in the game. Trapping 2, but I think she really wanted to trap more than that, focusing on the pylon on the high ground. She does not want to let any warpings go inside her base.
And it looks like the Zealots now, once again, free reign on the inside of the base, just going straight for those sentries. Stalkers take so long to take out those Zealots, so those Zealots can do so much damage to those sentries before they finally go down. And look at how many full health Stalkers are waiting at the bottom of this ramp, just twitching into that force field.
Chaining enough force fields, Puck might be able to hold this off. She's going to have one more force field after this current one, and then she's going to run out unless she warps in additional sentries. Also, remember, she lost a lot of probes. So while before, she had the advantage economically, now she's actually behind. But if she can kill a couple of units, these cost-efficient trades, that is what she needs to get right back in this game.
Does get a Stalker in there. The Stalker's going to run around, try and get some information on how many probes are left, what kind of advantage that she's in. Sorry, he's in, as is Sage's. With 4 sentries, just can't go up that ramp, so might as well get some information, know what kind of an advantage you're in, and start to actually finally take out that second gas that Puck stole in the very beginning of the game.
So we're in an interesting situation. Sage, of course, has the advantage economically speaking. Sage is a contain on Puck, but Puck does have a lot of sentries. So if it gets to a gateway versus gateway confrontation, without Blink Tech Archons or any other way to deal with force fields, those sentries can be very cost efficient. Puck also has a second gas already up and is progressing onto that Stargate tech. So a slight tech advantage, but of course Sage, map control, and economy on his side.
And that tech advantage is great, but you have to wait the entire time of a Stargate to come in here. And not only that, but you have to wait for the building of whatever unit you want to have come out here as well. So it's going to be a long time before we're going to see the Puck actually uses that advantage in any way. But pushing down the ramp, but only 2 Zealots get down there, and those poor little Zealots are going to be trapped in the corner. They don't even want to bother trying to take out those Stalkers. They're just going to wait in the corner until they die.
That was a really cool move by Puck, though. She was trying to force the sentry back so it couldn't get that force field off. Just not quite getting it together, and now the sentry has enough energy for another force field. Another sentry being warped in. Puck cannot try that move again.
Just inching the Stalker forward.
Oh, she get this out.
Ooh. Oh, that was very...
Living on edge.
That was an interesting maneuver. I'll give it that. But back at Sage's base, still trying to get that gas and use it for something, and actually going to throw down a robo facility. Now the only difficult part here is once again we have Puck popping out the Oracle, and that Oracle is going to go straight around the map, and it's going to be able to do a lot of damage to Sage's base yet again.
It definitely will. Sage has nothing currently to defend it. Mothership Core is out for Sage, but it's only going to have energy to photon overcharge one of those nexuses, and it's not even close enough to the main to really get that photon overcharge off. Right when Oracle gets there, Sage, realizing that this could be a possibility, retreats his army, which is exactly what he needs to do, but I don't know if he'll get back there in time.
I don't think so. Looks like that Oracle, especially after next patch, is going to be able to get there before the army, maybe. I don't know. This is one of those equations where we're going to have to know our times tables, because this is a hypotenuse versus the leg of a triangle, but it looks like that Oracle is just going to be a little bit too slow. The rest of the forces here for Sage are going to be able to defend this, and it's going to only get 2 probes.
2 probes gets out there, not what Puck wanted, but at least now the map control's on her side. Sage has to stay back to defend. In fact, she's actually not going to expand. She's going to follow this up with an attack, knowing that right now she has a high sentry count, which could be advantageous as long as there's no tech out on the field to combat those force fields.
And Sage actually going to hallucinate an Oracle, but it's not going to actually bait anything out of here. A couple of really key force fields here are going to section off a bit of Sage's forces, and Puck going to get a nice little victory there. Oh, short-lived, as 2 Zealots are also caught by force fields.
To battle the force fields here, Puck still has a few more force fields than Sage. Also, Oracle gets into main while Sage was distracted at the front, chasing those probes away, getting a few kills as well. So Puck trying to work the aggression from both sides.
Look at the production tab. There's only 1 pylon in production for both of these players here. The Phoenix going to come around, and I don't even know if Sage realizes that's not a hallucination. A lot of force fields going down here. The Immortal doing a lot of work. Here comes the Zealot to try and take out that Immortal, but 2 Zealots are paired up with it. The Phoenix grabs the Immortal, and it looks like barely Puck is going to be able to come out on top of this battle. Possibly no. The new Warp In comes in, and Puck GG's. Sage takes the game.
What a back and forth game there. That initial attack was so close there. Puck, you know, the force fields are always just trying to section off a couple units, being cost efficient. But then at one point she had to pull those probes because she didn't have another force field ready to stop those stalkers. And that's where it started to go downhill. But a really intense micro battle for about 5 minutes back and forth here, using the gateway wall, the force fields, every tool at her disposal to try to keep Sage off.
And that was some really key decision making there by Puck in order to try and ward off that attack. And you know, you just have to persist long enough and you're going to be able to get into a good position. And we were saying before, just those small little advantages. A Zealot here, a Sentry here. And that's exactly what's going to throw you into the victory screen, really.
Yeah, it definitely was putting her in that direction until the probes died. Sage had the advantage, worked to contain, got the extra expansion, and took that game, tying the series up 1-1. We'll be on Game 3 after a short break.